Hello and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Mogbe in Lagos.
For the greetings to you wherever you are in the world watching us. In London, I'm Austin Okonakman. Cecilia, I see the conversation have started right there in Nigeria after the list for the AFCON I was released. That will continue till we get into the AFCON proper, Cecilia. Obviously,
and that is what the show is all about tonight, because we'll be dissecting the list released by Joseph Peseiro. We're thinking 27. That's what most countries have been. Yes, we had some, we even had 23. But we're expecting 27 lists from the Super Eagles coach, Joseph Peseiro. But we have 25-man list. And of course, it is very, very predictable. The usual suspect, except the goalkeeper, who is getting his second call-up. The first time in Mexico, I think he didn't have the opportunity to be on the goalpost. We will be dissecting that because Colin Udo will be joining us on the program to talk more about that. And also, we look at the English Premier League. Yes, that's the only league that is actually on now this weekend because most of the leagues have gone on break. Yes, Napoli is also in action today. And for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, we'll take a look at when and how they will be traveling to Côte d'Ivoire, because they will be leaving the shores of the country on the 2nd, and then they go to UAE, that's Abu Dhabi, before they come back to Lagos, and then go to Côte d'Ivoire. That's a lot of travels, you would say, because you have 15 days to the commencement of the Africa Cup of Nations. Yes, it's 15 days, and Super Eagles, we finally have the list. That's what we have been waiting for. But we're not just alone on the show. Yes, Colin Doyle will join us later on the program. We also have Dotun Agunbiade. He's also joining us on the program tonight.
Yeah, good evening. And I will say compliment of the season.
Same to you. So the list we've been waiting for is out. So we're getting into the business right away, talking about the Super Eagles League. We can just have the list right now on the program. We'll take a look at the list and then we'll go to our analyst to help us to take a look at the Stanley Nwabili from Chippa United, South Africa. You remember when Joseph Peseiro actually visited Chippa United, I think December 8th, earlier this month. Francis Uzo, of course, usual suspect, who plays for many inside for us. And of course, Olorunleke Ojo from Eimba happens to be the only player based at home that will be going to the Nations Cup. Let's flip to the defenders. Olaluwa from Nottingham Forest. Chidozie Awaziem also part of that. Bright Osai Samuel, William Troost Ekong, Bruno Oyemachi, Kenneth Omeru, Shei Oluwashemilogo Ajayi, and of course you have Kevin Bassi and Seidu Sanusi completing the list of the defenders. That the midfield, that's where it is very, very lean. We have just 5 midfielders going into the Africa Cup of Nations. Wilfred ended of Leicester City. Rafael Oyendika is also there. Joe Aribo, Frank Oyenka, and Alex Iwobi completing that lineup of the midfielders. And of course, the forwards, as usual, the names, very many. Ahmed Musa, the captain, Silversport in Turkey, he's back into the squad after not being part of the team for the qualifiers for the World Cup. Victor Osimhen is also here. Kelechi Iheanacho, Sadiq Umar, Moses Simon, Ademola Lookman, Samia Chukwueze, and Victor Boniface of Bayer Leverkusen, who, by the way, they are topping the league right now ahead of course, Bayern Munich. Now, that's the list for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So I'm going to start with you here before Colin joins us on the program. Dotun, I mean, this is a list we've been waiting for, and finally, we've got it.
Of course, we have been waiting for this list, and we have the list before us now, though a whole lot of misfeeling will be generated when lists like this is unveiled or revealed. If you take a look at it very well over the past years, people will come to complain about the choice of the manager of the team, that he ought to have picked this, picked that, picked this. And I will come to tell people that the manager knows what he's looking for. To every player he has actually picked or choosing to be part of the soldiers that will be representing the Nigerian national team for the AFCON 2023, I think he actually knows what he wants, and he has going for what he wants. So, but I may have my reservation concerning the list. That doesn't change anything because he has already presented the list, and nothing can change the fact that he has presented the list. But fantastic defenders, fantastic attackers. Like you mentioned the other time, the midfield is very, very lean. And I was looking at it, peradventure anything happened during the course of the tournament, the defenders and the attackers will be the ones to actually be called to actually fill in the gap at the middle of the park. And this we've been talking about ever since Peseiro has been in charge of the Nigerian national team, we saw some games that he did invite 4 midfielders, 3 midfielders. Why on earth? We have a couple of midfielders, decent one, in the Nigerian Premier League, abroad, plying their trade, week in, week out, doing wonderfully well for themselves and their respective clubs. So I think he should have looked the direction of midfielders more than defenders. That's my submission.
Okay, Austin, I mean, we've got 3 goalkeepers, 9 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 8 forwards. Is there any player that should be here that is not here? What do you think?
You know, Cecilia, just because of the role that we play.
Yeah, I know.
If I come on now and start saying this player should have been here and I don't call someone's name, then they start, you know, giving you phone calls. So let's just stay safe and say this is the sort of, at least that Coach Jose Peseiro believes, you know, can execute the mission in Cote d'Ivoire. I really don't know about this midfield problem and why we only just go with, you know, 5 midfielders. I think the last AFCON team was about the same, you know, number of midfielders that we went with, and then we get so, you know, into a very difficult situation where we're trying to see if, you know, somebody gets injured who can step in, or when something isn't going right, what are we going to do, you know, in terms of tactical discipline and, you know, making those super substitutions that can turn around the game. This is football where anything can happen. I keep saying that all you just need to do is just get the right blend of things to work for you, and it's fine. If you play Wilfred Ndidi, you play Wilfred Ndidi, Alex Iwobi, and maybe a Joe Aribo.
Yeah.
And then they do so well on a day as, you know, a triangle midfield play and supply good play to the guys we have in the forward.
Up front,
You might just get goals and it will work. And then you got to try the next time and then it doesn't work. I think the midfield area has been a big problem because we know we lack creativity in there. We lack a lot of coordination. I think that's why it's even being so difficult for the coaches to, you know, find ways to see ways to, you know, turn things around. You see, I struggle to talk about it, so it won't look like I'm already condemning the list, you know. So let's bring in Colin Udon. That's why with this sort of analysis, bring an analyst and you just moderate. So I want to moderate. Colin Udon, good evening. I'm in London, United Kingdom. It's evening. I don't know where you are and what the time is, but welcome to Sports Tonight.
Thank you very much, Austin. It's great talking to you again. London seems to be working very well for you. The cheeks are fresher. You know, the eyes are slimmer like mine.
Calling my passion is making ways for me. You know, let's leave it like that. Colin, let's get into the conversation. Now we have the list of Super Eagles players going to the AFCON. What got you talking when you saw that list?
Nothing.
No way. Colin, no way.
Break it down.
Yeah, you know what, Austin? Look, I think maybe it's because I've been in this business for too long that I'm a bit long in the tooth. But look, every year we have the same conversation. And I say going back to what? I've been covering football now for like, 2 decades plus, going on 3 decades. And every time a coach brings out a list for a tournament, there's always, this one should have been in there, that one should have been in there, this should not be in there, and so on and so forth. And, you know, again, like I said, maybe I'm getting a bit jaded, maybe a bit long in the tooth, but the fact is, at the end of the day, neither you nor I is going to be responsible for the results of what happens when we do get to the tournament. It's going to be the coach, win or lose, succeed or fail, the coach is responsible. Now, are there players who maybe should have made the squad? Of course. Are there players who should not have made the squad? There's always going to be that argument. But the bottom line is, thankfully, we now have a 25-man squad rather than a 23-man squad. So we have 2 additional players in the squad. So as far as I'm concerned, I think as good as having all these conversations, arguments, and controversies are, the most important thing should be, let's focus on the 25-man team that's going to Cote d'Ivoire.
And we have the mantra, let's do it again. Can this team do it again?
I don't think so. Again, I'm being very brutally honest. We have seen teams of the past, better teams than this one, that have gone to the AFCON and not won it. And I can't really say that the worst team won it, because the 2013 team, as far as I'm concerned, overall was better than this one. So you look at the quality of, or lack of, that we have as a whole in this team. You look at the deficiencies that we've got, all the way from the back to the front. We're a very front-loaded team, you know. We're a very front-loaded team in the sense that we have a strong attacking unit. When you think of Victor Osimhen and perhaps Victor Boniface, who's going to be in the squad for the first time. But you look, we're still in midfield, you know. In defense, we're just not there. And then goalkeeping is, you know, a major issue. So I don't think that we're strong enough, especially when you compare to the competition we're going to face in Cote d'Ivoire. I don't think this team is strong enough to win it.
That's a tough one, Colin. The team not strong enough, and we're actually thinking maybe we can get to the semi-final or final. What would be a success for you, judging by the squad that we have? We talked about the midfield, just 5, and also some is like they're going to do a lot of travels. They're leaving the shores of wherever they are to Abu Dhabi first on the 2nd, and then they fly back to Lagos before going to Cote d'Ivoire. I mean, Abu Dhabi to camp when you have a Nations Cup that is taking place in Cote d'Ivoire?
Well, I think first of all, they need the, should I say, that they need the preparation time. And having that preparation time, don't worry, I've got in the car, as you can see. So, yeah, they need that preparation time. And having that time away from, you know, distractions. And trust me, there are a lot of people who are going to be earlier arrivals in Cote d'Ivoire who will not contribute to the focus that the team needs to do what they need to do. So I think that time is good for them to spend time and work on tactics and you know, just team bonding generally before they get to Cote d'Ivoire. Now, as to when we go to the Nations Cup as Nigeria, each time we go there, our ambition is to win it. So for me, success would be making at least the semi-final. Anything other than that, I don't think. I think should be a failure.
That's interesting. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking our time to join us on the program. I know you're actually rushing at somewhere. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, when the Nations Cup starts, or before it starts, we should be able to link up with you again.
Thank you very much, Cecilia, and thank you, Austin. Tell Austin to keep doing what he's doing.
Right, Austin. Keep doing what you're doing, and you can spread it down to Lagos.
That's Cecilia. That's why I keep telling you guys, keep talking sports. That's all I do. So I don't know what Colin is talking about, but Colin found a way. You see, Cecilia, the same way I approached your question was the same way Colin found a way to come into it and say, look, we can't say this and say that because we've said this and that before and nothing changed. Because the Peseiro believes in this team. Let's just support him and see what he can do. But let's go to Dotun, who is right there with you in Lagos, Cecilia. Dotun, we cannot shy away from this conversation. Who should have been in this list? And it's not there.
Yeah. Well, actually, I said the other time that many a times when we see lists like this, we get to react to the list, either saying the coach or the manager is right or spot on or is not spot on. But if you take a close look at the list, like I said the other time, that we have decent, fantastic midfielders in the Nigerian Premier League doing wonderfully well, week in, week out, who should have been part of this particular national team going into the Nations Cup. Before we venture into the studio, I was actually discussing with Cecilia, and I mentioned something. I said, we talked about him extensively, saying that though he has been a decent goalkeeper for Chipas United in the South African League, but you cannot compare to what we see week in, week out in the Nigerian Professional Football League, and this other guy that applies who's played in the Israeli League, Adelaide, who has actually been part of the Nigerian national team in recent time, being actually thrown out of the team at this particular point, I think is not fair to the young man. But if you look at it generally, you know, the usual suspects, the usual guys we see up front talking about the Victor Osimhen, the Boniface, they are the one actually are doing wonderfully well week in, week out in their respective club in the European continent. But generally, I think the list, to me, to a large extent, I would say is 90%, but to a large extent, to some extent, I would say I'm not too okay with the list, because I said the other time that I have my reservation concerning the list, and that is my submission.
Okay. Austin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, this thing happens, you know, each time a list, you know, is released by the national team coach. But look, I've said what I've said. It's time for us to just go and prove a point.
Yeah.
I do not care who you have called to the team. These 25 players are professional footballers. They should go out there and get the job done. That's it.
Okay, so we end it there. The list is out, 25, and of course, January 2nd, that's when they will be flying to Abu Dhabi. 1 week training camp, come back to Lagos on the 9th before going to Cote d'Ivoire for the Africa Cup of Nations. So 20th appearance Nigeria will be making. They've won the title 3 times, and the last time was in 2013, led by late Stephen Keshi. And out of those players who were there at that time, only 2 are left in this current squad. That's Kenan Tomero and the captain himself, Ahmed Musa. The others haven't won a title before, and some are even appearing at the Nations Cup for the very first time. All right, that's where we'll leave the Super Eagles list. Now let's talk about other countries. Defending champions, Senegal also released their list today. And of course, Senegal, the usual suspect, the coach has to stick with the players who won the Nations Cup with him. Let's just run through the names of these players, starting from the goalkeepers. We have Mori Diaw of Clermont Foot, Seni Dieng of Middlesbrough, and Edward Mendy, who now plays for Al Ahly in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. About 7 players in Saudi Arabia, or 5 players in Saudi Arabia are making the squad for Senegal. That 27-man list, that's what he came up with. Let's flip over to the defenders, the players that we have there. You will also see that you have the usual suspect for Senegal. Ford Ballo-Touré of Fulham is there. Abdou Diallo of Al Arabi, as I mentioned earlier, these players he plays in Saudi Arabia. Ismail Jacobs of Monaco is also there. Koulibaly of Al Hilal, he's moved to Saudi Arabia also. Thomas Mendy, Lorraine, Abdoulaye Ndiaye of Troyes. Then you also have Musa Aniakete of Nottingham Forest, and Yusuf Sabali of Real Betis, and Mudalai Sek of Maccabi Haifa. These are the defenders that you have. We move to the midfield. You have about 7 of them right here. Crepin Diaty of Monaco, Idrissa Goye of Everton, Papa Goye of Olympique Marseille, Keita of Nottingham Forest, and of course, Marpes Mendy of Racing Lens in France, Lima Ndiaye of Olympique Marseille also, and Matassa, who plays for Tottenham Hotspur. These are the midfielders you have for Senegal. So let's move over to the forward. Lamine Camara, of course, of Metz. He's also there. Patsis of Real Vallecano, Dia of Salernitana, Habib Diallo of Al-Shabaab, also in Saudi Arabia, Nicholas Jackson of Chelsea, Sadio Mane of Al Nasri of Saudi Arabia, Ismaila Assar, Olympique Marseille, and Abdallah Sima plays for Rangers. So these are the 27-man squad that was released by Cisse earlier today. And Cisse also mentioned that, yes, before, he usually don't take players outside of Europe. But this time around, the crop of the players who won Nations Cup for them are now playing in Saudi Arabia, led by, of course, their talisman, Sadio Mane. Austin, no surprise in this one at all, talking about the Senegalese team. You know, when Cote d'Ivoire brought their list, you didn't have Wilfred, and we were talking about Wilfred Zaha. I mean, some noise. Moting also was not part of the Cameroonian squad, was an exempted noise. But Senegal coming up, Nigeria coming up, yeah, okay. It's just the usual suspect, the usual list that everyone is used to.
That's what I'm saying, you know. That's champion stuff right there. That's why we need to study what Senegal is doing. And even if you check it, about 95% of the squad still intact. The names that we're hearing now coming into the team are people who will come in to prove a point Otherwise, you cannot complain if you don't have, a starting place in this team. They also have the AFCON winning coach. They've got Cisse.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the list of the Super Eagles players that went to the AFCON in 2020 at the 2021 edition. And then let's see how many do we still have in this current squad. But look at Senegal.
Yeah.
Now, this is continuity, this is consistency, this is understanding purpose of the team. And the man who has done everything is still right there with them. That's him, Aliou Cisse. So give it up to Senegal. They will come there and they will play football and they'll try to defend their title and they will only try to get better as a team. First tonight on Channels Television. Let's go on this quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our preview of the 2023 AFCON. Don't go anywhere, stay with us. Welcome back, Sports Tonight on Channels Television. We're previewing the AFCON. It's just 15 days to go. I'm taking a look at the defending champions, Senegal. They have released their squad. And Dotun, whether you like them or not, Senegal, they are awesome favorites.
Of course, they are favorite to win this AFCON. And if you take a vivid look at the list, like you rightly said, and as well as Cecilia, we actually see what is called continuity. And you will give kudos to the gaffer in charge of the team. He did wonderfully well winning it the last time. And coming into this tournament, he actually decided to stick with the players that did the assignment with him the last time. So if you take a look at it, I was actually telling Cecilia during the break that look at the list. You have 7 midfielders at the middle of the park. Guys actually were there the last time, and few guys actually joining at the middle of the park. If you say Ghana have been wonderful, doing wonderfully well, Mendy, remember what he did even during the World Cup last year, and coming into this tournament, we should be expecting more from these guys because they are going there to defend the tournament they won the last time. I think Cisse has actually done well. I don't have much to say because looking at the team, they are even a winner already, if you ask me. Though tournament is not won by just mere mouth, but I will just say that they are a winner already with what we are seeing.
Interesting fact. And of course, I think that's according to what Aliou Cisse said. He said they proved that they could win it with players playing in major leagues in Europe. And this time around, they also want to prove that they can win it with players playing in Saudi Arabia. And they are as hungry as they were when they won it the last time in 2021. So they are bidding to become the second nation to be able to win it back-to-back. Remember how Egypt did it 3 times in a row? That was 2010, and that's the last time they won. They haven't been able to win a Nations Cup. So let's see what Senegal will be able to bring. They are in a group that has Cameroon, Guinea, and Gambia. So the tournament is starting January 13. We all know that. And of course, we'll see if Senegal will be able to lift that trophy February 11th. We're waiting. Person's breath, right? Austin, let's leave the Senegalese team and quickly talk about Group B, which is our focus for today as we continue the countdown, also previewing major teams. All the teams are going into the Nations Cup. In Group B, we will be taking a look at the statistics, the coaches of these teams, what they've achieved and how far they've gone, how many games they've won, how many games they've played, and how many games they've lost if they stand, they are in the pole position to see if they can win it. But let's take a look at starting with the coach of Ghana. I mentioned yesterday that Ghana would no longer be camping in Joburg in South Africa as they wanted. Now they will be camping at home in Kumasi. Of course, it will be close to the media. They want that privacy time for them to start training, which is starting on the 2nd of January. Now you have Chris Hughton, who is coaching Ghana. He was appointed this year, and so far he has played 10 matches and he has won 5 of those games, drawing 2 and losing 3. So he's heading into the Africa Cup of Nations with these statistics. Dotun, judging by what we have here, Chris Hughton, yes, he's a coach that when he was appointed, people were surprised. But we've seen his statistics, 5 wins out of 10. Is that a pass mark, a C or a B?
Yes. That is C. That is C. Yeah, that's okay. C. But if you take a look at this man, you know him. He actually, when it comes to football at large, remember he has actually managed big clubs in the English Premier League, Brighton, Newcastle, Tottenham, and what have you. He's a coach with a track record. And coming into the Ghanaian national team, he started well. And going into this Nations Cup, I think it's going to be a bit difficult. for him, owing to the fact that he doesn't understand African terrain to a large extent. Though you would say that he has played 10, he has won 5, and he has actually managed to draw 2 and lost 3. But when it comes to the major tournament, African Nations Cup, remember what we do get. We get power, we get energy, we get zeal, all of this. Maybe he doesn't understand to a large extent, but when this tournament kickstart properly, maybe it's going to actually dawn on him that this is not how to actually play in the African continent. But I believe with his record, with his statistics, with his track record especially, that he has what it takes to actually take the Ghanaian national team to the glory land.
Okay, Austin, I mean, you heard what he said. Do you agree with him at all of what he said concerning Chris Hughton?
Yeah, I think Chris Hughton still needs to study Ghanaian football. He still needs to understand the players. He still needs to know how to manage egos. He still needs to know how to, you know, work with the Ghanaian FA. Look, it's a lot as a manager. It's 360. You know, each time I listen to Eric Ten Hag talk, I get to understand the sort of work the managers do. It goes beyond just telling these players run and arranging calls and playing football. That is what affected Ghana at the last AFCON. You could tell that something was missing administratively. There was no leadership, you know, and it showed from the coaching crew down to the players. So I just hope that they've identified that problem, because the last outing was abysmal. In a group that had Comoros, Ghana finished at the bottom and had just 1 point. And that's why Chris Hughton should be looking beyond just going out there now to just get the points. He should first assemble players who want to go play for the pride of Ghana. You know, they shouldn't just only do it when it's in Nigeria. Okay, tell them to always have that mentality that anytime you're playing anything, just see the Super Eagles of Nigeria and bring out your best. But then again, I want to see cohesion. I want to see understanding. I want to see Ghana that we used to know, that will run you right from the midfield, stress you in the wings, and then give you those runs that are forward ever. I've not seen that. Even with them qualifying for the World Cup, even going to the World Cup, Ghana was one team that made us, you know, ask a lot of questions about African teams. So Chris Hughton has got a lot of work to do. And I think first thing first is about understanding his mission, you know, in this Black Stars team. So if he does that effectively, win some players to his side, get his players to actually play for you, then you as a manager, 60% of your problems are off.
Obviously. Okay, we have another manager, Rui Vitória, happens to be the coach of the Peseiros of Egypt. He was appointed last year, 2022. Out of 13 matches, he has won 11. Okay, this is a B. He has won 11. A+. He has won 11, drawing 1 and losing 1. Now, this is a start you want to see of a coach going into the Nations Cup. Austin, now you know why they are 7 times champion. Yes, they haven't won in a long while, but with this start and with this coach, and of course with, you know him, Mo Salah, these guys obviously are ready to run a riot in Côte d'Ivoire.
Of course, they are ready to run riots in Côte d'Ivoire. If you look at the caliber of players and the team, you definitely agree with me that they're actually going into this tournament to win it. If you look at the statistics of the coach, you definitely also agree that the coach actually have what it takes to tinker this team to glory. But African football, like I said the other time, is not just like that. It's not just about going into the field or what have you and everything like that. You have to actually understand the terrain, how it happens in Africa. You know, remember I mentioned power play, energy. All these, they actually come to bear when it comes to
now I know
African
why Senegal is actually your favorite.
Yes, yes.
At least
because they have all the energy, they have all the power, they have all the zeal that you can actually get from them. Coming to the Egyptian national team and talking about Victoria, like Hughton, like Victoria, he actually has track record. He has managed big teams like Benfica, like Olympiacos. He actually recorded success with all this team. The last team he managed, which is his lowest point when it comes to managing his managerial career, which was Olympiacos. Coming to the Egyptian national team, he has actually done wonderfully well to a large extent, I would say. Qualifying them is not just a mere feat, and also going into the tournament, I think is really going to be a bit difficult for him. But for the players, they understand how it actually happens when it comes to African Nations Cup. Egypt, the African Messi, Mo Salah, actually wants to lay his hands on the golden diadem when it comes to African football tournament before he actually calls his quit on his national team career. So he has all of this. He has all of this in his mind. Definitely meet with him and the manager. Maybe they can actually think out the team to succeed. But the manager, like I said, he has track record over the years. He has managed wonderful teams, but coming to Africa, different ball game. Yeah,
it's usually different. Austin, you know, Mo Salah and Sadio Mane, what happened at the last Nations Cup? And of course, going into the World Cup, it was Senegal that was actually their nemesis. But this time I also have the Senegalese team who've got all these star-studded squad still in the game. For having a coach like this and going into the Nations Cup with this kind of track record, what would be a success for you for the Egyptian team?
Yeah,
because when you look at this...
yeah, Cecilia, but let's be careful too. You know, sometimes you see a coach with a decent record and that becomes the pressure for the team. You know, I was watching yesterday's game and it said it moved away from Arsenal versus West Ham and went into David Moyes versus Mikel Arteta. Now, David Moyes had never, ever won a game against Arsenal. Now you see that pressure on Mikel Arteta because Moyes wanted that sort of record to go. Now with Victoria and this record that he's got with Egypt is good to use to build momentum into the competition. But I'm saying that it can also, you know, add pressure to the Pharaohs. I'm waiting for him to release his final list. And let me see, because there's just so much talent everywhere in that Egyptian squad, the first squad that he released, you know. So I'm waiting to see him release his final list and then see how he's going to, you know, get them coordinated. Do not forget, this is the same way we said all the good things about Egypt. The pundits gave the first game, Egypt versus Nigeria, to Egypt. And then boom, Nigeria went and won that first game against Egypt. And that time we weren't even at our best in any way. But Egypt now went back, watched that game, and then identified their mistakes, and it took them all the way to the final. That's a disciplined team. That's a team that's got lessons learned, well documented, and then they use it. So I'm thinking that's what they can do with a good coach that's got good records now, that is understanding the team. Remember, that was the same thing I said about Chris Hughton, that he needs to know his team. He seems to know his team, and that's what Egypt can do.
Okay, let's talk about the coach that we can give E or F. All right, he was appointed in 2021. He has played 20 matches, lost 10 out of 20, winning 6 and drawing 4. Dotto and Austin, who's going to fire first?
Francisco Conde, former player of Mozambique. If you look at his
Mozambique,
record, yet he definitely say that he actually is not a fit to other managers in this tournament. He's not a fit to them. He's not a match to them. He actually not coming closer to them in any area. But with what we've been seeing in football in recent times, surprises and what have you, you can actually take it away from them. Remember what we saw during the last African Nations Cup? Even teams like Equatorial Guinea are doing what they know they can do to actually get to the quarterfinal of the tournament. So for Mozambique, they've been around in African football for a while. Not that, though they actually complete the numbers many a times, but they've been around for a while. But going into this tournament, I don't think with his record and with the team, with the players we have, he has in his KT, they're actually going to do something meaningful in the AFCON.
Yeah, Austin, I mean, when you were looking at this, Francisco, when you were looking at his record, you were wondering, how do you play 20 and win just 6?
No, Cecilia, these things happen, you know, and this is Mozambique. It's small Mozambique. And remember what I just said about pressure. Now flip it. Mozambique, we go out there and say, we are the underdog. We are the team that everybody will look at now and say we've been losing. Now we've put all of this on Coach Francisco Conde, but we're forgetting that it was players that went out there to play. The man didn't listen to Cecilia to play the match. But you see, when he has the stats, we must be wary of small teams at this AFCON. I said it over and over last year and 2 years ago in Cameroon. And no one listened to me until Gambia started getting us talking. Sierra Leone got us talking. Equatorial Guinea got us talking. Comoros
your
got
team.
us talking. So you'll find out that Mozambique will come in now and say, okay, look at what people are saying about us. And I thought they were decent when they played Nigeria during the friendly. And if you go take a look at their qualifying campaign to come to the AFCON, they are actually that team that you can call a giant killer. So if Egypt blinks, and any of the other big teams blink against this sort of Mozambique, and Cape Verde is in that group too, anything can happen, you know.
Okay.
But that's a bad record for Coach Conde. But I'm just saying that because his club is Mozambique, but that can actually be what can turn their AFCON around.
All right, let's go to the last one in that Group B. Pedro Latel Brito, the coach of Cape Verde, was appointed in 2020. He has played 31 matches, winning 15, drawing 6, and losing 10. Pedro, I mean, this is a good record going into the Nations Cup.
To a large extent, you say that is a good record. Haven't won 15 out of 31. And if you look at Cape Verde, they've been around in a while now since they actually took African by storm. Remember, about 10 years ago, they've actually maintained that status, actually been among the best team, qualifying for the African Cup of Nations ever since then. And going into this tournament, and the coach is also a former player of the team. And he has actually managed about 5 different clubs in the Cape Verde League, and he has actually posted good performances here, and they're winning the league and also qualifying the club for the African Champions League and as well as Confederation Cup. But going into Nations Cup, knowing the team is not a problem for him now because he has been around for more than 3 years with the team now. So playing 31 games, he has played with different players at a particular time. Maybe we actually, he has players all across Europe, and he actually picked 4 players from the Cape Verde League, and he actually went abroad to the Portuguese League, French League, Turkish League, and Belgian League to actually pick players, to assemble them together. Like I said the other time, knowing the players is not the problem. Understanding the terrain is not the problem, and actually managing the players is not the problem. But the problem will be, what can they do during the course of the tournament, because they have other players, other teams that are actually looking to win this tournament. They have the determination to win this tournament this time around. Like Egypt, like we mentioned the other time, Senegal, who is actually believing they can do it once again, to lay their hands on the golden diadem of African football, to actually reinstate themselves as the defending champion again going into the next Nations Cup after the 2023 edition. For Cape Verde and the coach, talking about Pedro, I think it's going to be pretty difficult for them in the group they found themselves.
In the group, it's a very tough group, you will say, especially when you have Ghana and Egypt in the group. All right, let's end the Nations Cup here. Of course, in the new year, we'll continue the countdown to the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in 2024 in Côte d'Ivoire. All right, Austin, we'll go to London, of course. I know you spoke with Arsenal youth team. He is a Nigerian. He's trying to get into that squad of Mikel Arteta that is star-studded, which is really not so simple.
I know Ovie Ojere, you know, when we see the report of yours, we get to understand it. You know, joined the Arsenal Academy at the age of 8. He's 20 now. He has had 2 loan spells. He's just monitoring, you know, what's going on. You know, this young man has got a Niger spirit. He's just staying focused. He's a determined guy. He's disciplined. He's an all-rounder, you know, and he's saying he's just monitoring the situation. If Arsenal gets to loan him again, no problem. He'll go and gather experience. If something goes wrong and they say, oh, come and try, he will try, you know, Cecilia. So I don't know if we can take the reports and that I put together, and I will come back and we'll talk some more about Ovie Ojere.
Hi, my name is Ovie Ojere.
Passionate, disciplined, focused, determined, and ambitious. These are values guiding the promising football career of Ovie Ojere.
Let's go.
Born to a Nigerian dad and a Ugandan mom, Ovie joined the Arsenal Academy at just 8. Now he's 20 and still adding useful details to his football story.
I think my football story has been a bit of a weird one. When I was very, very young, I didn't want to play football, but I had an older brother that plays football, and one day I just wanted to play. And since then, I got scouted at my first ever football tournament. I went through a lot of London clubs, but ultimately I wanted to pick Arsenal, so I've been there. It's been 12 years now, coming to 13, so it's been a long, long journey.
A chance to break into Arsenal's first team hasn't come, but Ovie is trusting the process, putting in the work, and documenting important lessons learned.
Chelmsford was like my first loan into men's football, so it was tough. It was a hard start. Very physical league, and then when I went to Finland, it's like the complete opposite. It's very technical, but I enjoyed both very, very much, and they've helped me a lot in my career. So I'm grateful for both clubs for giving me a chance.
This British-Nigerian goalkeeper represents Arsenal 100%. I reminded him how his team bottled the league title last season, and with a calm and confident demeanor, he said this season is for the Gunners.
Yeah, hopefully we win the league, of course, 100%. It was a very close call last season, and it's been a long wait, so it would be nice to see Arsenal win the league for sure. Niger!
Ovie claims he's proudly Nigerian and has a fairly good knowledge of the country's football history.
I know quite a bit. Obviously, I remember when we won African Cup of Nations with MNEK. That's when I was young, and I really loved football back then, so I was watching it a lot. And 100%, of course, when I was watching that, it's inspiring, and I definitely want to be one of the goalkeepers to talk about for Nigeria in history forever. So yeah, I would definitely like to play for Nigeria. Last year I had a chance to, but unfortunately I was on loan, so it was a bit of a hard decision, but I had to stay on loan at that time to get men's football. My dad's from Nigeria, so obviously I've taken a lot from him. I love the food, of course. I love the culture, the church, the music. There's a lot to love about Nigeria. I definitely need to visit again, because I haven't visited in a long time. I can't even remember when I visited last, but hopefully this summer I'll visit. Yeah, I love Nigeria.
With a Premier League match ball in his hands and eyes fixed on his goals, Ovie dares to dream. He believes with his football career, he can inspire young people, particularly Africans, to achieve success.
Ovie is one of many Nigerian youths in the United Kingdom who's got a burning love and passion for the motherland. At the moment, he's concentrating on his club football career with Arsenal, but if he gets a chance to show some love to Nigeria, he says he will take it. In London, Austin Okonakpan, Channels Television News.
Okay, all right. I mean, that was Ovie Ojehere. I mean, that's a fantastic footballer right there, trying to break into the first team of Arsenal. We don't have much time to actually dwell on him, but we'll just take a look at the fixtures for this weekend before we wrap up the show. Now, we'll start with Saturday's fixture, where you have Luton Town and Chelsea. They will be in action on Saturday. You also have other fixtures on same day. So many games to play because it's the 30th of December. And of course, Aston Villa and Burnley will also be in action. Crystal Palace and Brentford will also lock on Saturday. Manchester City and Sheffield United are also in action. Wolves and Everton, Nottingham Forest and Manchester United will also be in action to complete the fixtures for Saturday. Let's flip over to the games on Sunday, and that's where Arsenal are coming. They will be playing against Fulham away from the Emirates after losing at home to West Ham. Tottenham and Bournemouth will also be in action. Well, it's the last show for the year 2024. I'm talking about sport tonight. Don't forget to join us Sunday Sports, of course. That will be the last show of sport for Channels Television. Austin, we have to go.
Yeah, we got to go. It's been a fantastic sporting 2023, and we hope that 2023 will give us more reasons to talk sports. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan, and in everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Yeah, Dotun, it was nice having you again here.
Well, same here. And let me just say like this, Happy New Year in advance. See you next year.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Of course, see you in 2024.